Welcome to how to use the Ubuntu alternate installer. I'm going to show you how to use this even if you've never used anything like this before. I'm going to show you what to enter, everything, and especially the keyboard. This is the installer language. If I change it to Danish, I get Danish. Now how do I go back? I don't read Danish. I think it's escape. Escape gets me back once, escape twice, gets me back to this main menu. It's very convenient. You'll probably never use it though. Up and down allows me to select whichever I want, and then I confirm the selection with enter. Up, down, enter. This screen is important because it's asking me what my keyboard layout is. It's asking me what keyboard I have connected to the machine. You can use yes for automatic. It'll ask you to type in keys, or no, because I know exactly what kind of keyboard I have. English, English. And now it's going to take me to the network screen, I believe. Now I've taken a shortcut. I've disconnected my network. So I'm going to just talk about why you have to use the alternate CD. If you have enough RAM to use the desktop CD, which is the graphical installer, pretty much what most people use, you'll get to use the mouse. You get to use this thing called automatically set up my machine. It is a lot easier, but if you have less RAM or you just want to do it this way, does exactly the same thing. There's really no difference in the finished system, and you can see you don't even need the internet to install Ubuntu. You can do it anywhere where you want. Of course, if you do have the desktop CD, you can use the desktop mode. You can use the live CD to boot into Lubuntu, check out your drivers, make sure everything's working, see if you like it or not. Okay, let's look at this screen. This is the host name. It says network, but it's really just the computer name. Now everybody on my wireless network is going to see my computer name, so I'm going to enter something silly. Computer name, no spaces. Let's hit enter. This is my actual name, my name. This is just so Ubuntu can send emails with my name on them. Joe user. Enter. Username. This is important. You want to write it down. Don't forget your username or you'll be stuck. This is also the name of my home directory. It's going to be Joe. My home directory's name is going to be Joe. And password. Don't lose that either. Might want to write it down. Encrypt my home directory. I don't have anything important worth protecting, so I'm going to keep it simple. Select no. Time zone. What time is it? This next screen is going to tell me about my hard disks. I have 2 hard drives, and I'm going to do manual. This is the first hard drive. It has Windows already on it. These 2 things are Linux. This is X4. That's a data partition. It has a system on it, but I'm going to get rid of it. And swap. Linux needs a swap partition. And this second hard drive here is another data drive. I'm not going to do anything with it. Just to go back, I'm going to show you one more thing. Guided partitioning. Now I can use the entire disk. That's going to delete everything. All my information is going to be gone. Or I can resize. That means now if my disk is full of Windows stuff, it's not going to be very useful. It won't work. Won't have enough room to install anything. But there's another reason not to use a resize. If I'm moving from Windows Vista or Windows 7, usually Windows doesn't like what Linux does during the resize, so it really messes it up. So if you want to do the resize route, use partition magic or do something else. Well, there's lots of other ways to do it. Just don't do it here. I'm going to show you manual, because if you already have as you can see, I have a 3.2 gigabyte partition on an 8.6 gigabyte hard drive. Now if you already have space, it's easy to make a Linux partition in dual boot. I'm going to actually select this partition and delete it. This is the partition menu. I can delete this partition. Now remember, changes aren't made until I do finish partition and write. So this is just sort of a setup screen or a staging screen, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to delete this one too. Select it, move to delete. Now I have Windows partition and free space. Select the free space, create a new partition. I know exactly how big I want my swap partition to be. It's going to be 500 megabytes. Enter. Doesn't really matter. Beginning doesn't really matter again. Okay, this is important. This tells me what I'm going to do with this partition, this 500 megabyte partition I just created. I'm going to use it as a swap area. Or see, it could be a data drive, but since it's only 500 megabytes, it really needs to be a swap area. I'm done with that, and I still have free space. I'm going to create a new partition with the rest of the free space. Create a new partition. Wow, that's the right size. I can just do it automatically. Logical, it doesn't matter. X4 is the default and it's the best. Mount point, see, slash means root. I'm going to show you, let's say I made it home instead. I'll show you what it says when I try to install Linux without a root partition, or if I did it like this, it would work. Like this, won't work. I'll show you what happens. Done. Finish partition. Oops, no root file system. That's because I don't have a slash mounted. Let's mount a slash. Go up to here, mount point. I'm going to tell to use this particular data partition as slash. There, that's easy enough. Click done. Now what we have here, we have a partition which is really just a segment of your hard disk that's set away for, in this case, NTFS, which is Windows. So the B means bootable. And then we have a swap, which is virtual memory for Linux. Linux does bad things when you run out of memory, but virtual memory helps, or this swap thing helps mitigate that. F means format. Everything looks great. So let's finish partitioning and write changes. I haven't done anything yet, but I do a left arrow, write changes to the disk. This is the point of no return, but I'm going to go boldly ahead. And this is a good chance to tell you about Lubuntu, if you don't mind. Ubuntu is a lightweight system. It's really about getting out of your way, letting you work, no big surprises. If you like Alt-Tab, it's kind of a classic Alt-Tab interface. Switch between windows and has the taskbar at the bottom. You know, it's so familiar for me, and it's very, very lightweight, very snappy. And it does that because it's based on LXDE, which is a lightweight X11 desktop environment. And besides LXDE, it has lightweight apps like MT Paint. Has many other lightweight apps. It has email client, so on. It has Chromium, which is very lightweight. Well, actually, Chromium is not very lightweight. I mean, you can run out of memory by opening 5 or 6 tabs, and when you switch windows, everything starts getting really, really slow. So Chromium's not the lightest, but it works pretty darn fast. And I really enjoy using it. Just no surprises. It's very easy to really get started because using Windows like OpenBox, forget what I said. Don't need to worry about OpenBox, but trust me, you can use it. You can use it. And when I get through this next screen, I'm going to show you a little bit about dual booting. As you notice, I didn't delete the Windows partition. It's still there. And after, what we're going to have to do is we're going to install Grub. The thing about Grub is, by default, Windows has a boot sector or a boot MBR master boot record that lets Windows boot. Grub is going to overwrite that. So when I install Grub, pretty much you won't be able to boot Windows through Windows. You're going to have to use Grub to boot Windows. It's not going to be any big deal. Just install Grub, get it over with. And Grub is really no problem. I actually heard bad things about it, but don't worry about it. Grub is fine. And hearing bad things, if you have problems with Ubuntu, it's not really, we don't have, in open source software, we don't have like a system where we listen to people bad-mouthing Ubuntu and then we send people after you to ask you to fix it. We really expect a little bit more involvement. Instead of getting angry and just throwing Ubuntu out the window, you really need to do something called bug tracking. You need to tell people about the bug. Specifically, you need to log on to the bug tracking website and tell the developers about the bug. Really, the developers are never going to know if you're having bugs unless you report it. Don't really expect someone else to report the bugs that you're experiencing. You really got to log into Launchpad, report a bug, so on. You know, answer the questions, go through the thing. And if you don't really know how to do this, you can log on to our IRC. It's Internet Relay Chat. We have a Lubuntu channel. If the Lubuntu channel is empty, you can go to Ubuntu. If you don't have any luck on IRC, you can go to the forums. There's a whole backup system on the forums. It's even more help. It's tons of help. Like I said, okay. I don't know why it's asking you yes or no. If you select no, nothing happens. You have to select yes. Yes. We're going to use Grub to boot Grub and Linux and everything and Windows. Yes. And I'll show you the dual boot system. I really do want to thank you for listening to the podcast. I think this is the absolute last step. Continue. We're going to reboot here, see if it reboots correctly. And this is Grub. We have Ubuntu at the top, Windows at the bottom. If you did not do a dual boot system, it'll boot directly into Ubuntu. Let's boot into Ubuntu, or Lubuntu. And I want to thank you for listening to my little podcast. Hopefully your alternate installation goes just as well. And this is the login screen. I typed in my password wrong. And welcome to Lubuntu. Thank you very much.